On Friday, December 1, 2017, in the Russian capital of Moscow, the 2018 World Cup will begin in earnest. The draws for the groupings of the 32 countries participating in the championship will take place. All Nigerians will know what countries are going to be in the same group as the Super Eagles. Tonight, on the Sports Parliament, we shall be taking a peep into the crystal ball to see what may happen. We shall also be going into the archives to review Nigeria's performances in different groups through the country's past 5 experiences in 1994, 1998, 2002, 2010, and 2014. So, sit back for the next 55 minutes and enjoy this thrilling journey into Nigeria at the FIFA World Cup. I am Segun Odegbami, Speaker of the Sports Parliament, sitting today from our studios here in Lagos, live, NTA, Africa's largest television network. Sitting with me tonight, to my right, is Dr. Kweku Tando.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. Good evening, Nigerians.
To my distant left is Barrister. He doesn't like to be called Barrister, but Mr. Agu Imo.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. Good evening, Nigerians.
And to my immediate left is Dr. Akin Amao.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. Good evening, Nigerians.
And in Abuja, the great Olympian is there tonight, coming to you from Abuja, Ene Udo Obong. Abdurrahman Ibn Mohammed.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. Good evening, Mr. Speaker. I'm here tonight. I'm glad to be here in Abuja for the first time. And talking about battles, Mr. Speaker, we must also, I am wearing our Pompi, which are honoring our heroes that have done battle for Nigeria. So I ensure that everyone should support the Nigerian Armed Forces on their Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Very well done. And of course, with you there is Abdurrahman Ibn Mohammed. Abdurrahman.
Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, it's good to be here once again.
Fantastic. Well, in the studios here in Lagos, sitting on the wings and waiting to make his predictions this week is Lukman. Last week it was uncanny. I hear he got over 70% of his predictions right. I'm sure betting houses were in trouble. So you can join him later in the show with your pen and paper and start to write all those numbers that will be dishing out to you. And of course, you can also join us at home using any one of the social media platforms that you will see running across your screens, okay? And of course, you can also watch on YouTube. We are streaming this program live on YouTube. Remember, it is Sports Parliament. Your comments can also come, scroll during this program if you use the short code 32120. What to do is MIND, spell MIND, leave a little space, your message, a little space, then send to 32120. You can include your name. Okay? So, this program is going to be fantastic because we are going straight to Moscow when we come back. Join us after the break.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, oh get roller. Change begins with you and me. Oh, change begins with me. Oh, change begins with me. Change begins with me.
Hate speech.
Welcome back. Well, today we want to try something really special. I hope it works. We have a friend in the house, a partner in the business from Ben Television in London, who is right there in the city of Moscow, and he's there for the draws that will take place tomorrow. Chris, if you are there, please just respond so that we can have... Okay, that's fine. I hear we can wait for a while and see if that connection will come through. Well, you are watching the Sports Parliament, coming to you again live from our studios in NTA. The World Cup is not easy at all. That is, the World Cup finals is not easy to go to. Twice in my own career, we attempted within a period of some 6
unavailable.
Please the 1978 World Cup and the 1982 World Cup. That was when only one team represented the continent of Africa. It was very, very difficult in those days. We came very close on those 2 occasions. These days, there are 5 teams that go for the World Cup. But even then, it is almost as difficult as a camel passing through the eye of a needle to go to that World Cup. This year, we are lucky. And I think we deserve it also, that Nigeria will be at the World Cup. Parliamentarians, I will tell you that to lose a match at the World Cup, or to finish without crossing the first round is like dying. It's like death. You know, when you finish, if you go back to the camp, it's like you're having a wake keep. But if you win a match, just one single match in the World Cup, or you progress beyond that first round, it is like paradise. It's like going to heaven. So you can see the difference between those 2 extremes. So the World Cup comes with massive pressure. It also comes with great, sometimes unrealistic expectation. So as we go to 2018, Moscow, Russia 2018, what are we going to tell Nigerians? Just to start with, as an opener, each one of you, just as an opener, what are your expectations of the Super Eagles going to 2018? Realistically, I'll start with Kuku.
Yes, for me, I have this optimistic disposition this year, quite unlike 2014 and 2010. I somehow feel that the team that we have now would impress us and take Nigeria perhaps further than we have been in the past. I just have this feeling. And,
what does that mean?
I will not be surprised if we get into a quarter-final position. I will not be surprised.
Let me shoot straight to Agu.
Yes, sir. Well, like Kweku said, things are looking good. We're not going into this World Cup as, even if we are seeded in the 4th group, we're not going in as underdogs, I think. I think there's a real possibility that we can do well and go beyond the 2nd round this time.
Go beyond the 2nd round. Yes. Okay. Doctor?
Yeah, like you said in your intro, this kind of global tournament brings tremendous pressure. Most especially your first match. And I think that is going to be the determinant. If you win your first match, like we did in '94, it was a party. But then we must be very careful. I also want to share in the sentiment that it's likely we may go beyond this 2nd round. But then it's an uphill task.
Quarter-final, beyond 2nd round, beyond 2nd round. Let us shoot across the Niger to Abuja. Abdurrahman or Ene, who will take this on first?
Well, Mr. Speaker,
Well, we just lost that connection there, but we'll get back to them as soon as possible. But the World Cup is not something you just get by accident. Okay? For you to get there, you must have deserved it. You must have played a series of matches. You must be good. So now we want to look at the crystal ball. We said it. That's what we said in the intro. We are going into the crystal ball now in hope and expectation that we'll be drawn into a good group. I hope viewers at home know how it works because it's been publicized so often. There are 4 different pots of 8 teams. The first pot consists of the top 8 teams in the world. Okay, Abuja is ready. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back to Abuja.
The second round they pass through, we must be conservative in our expectations so that they may do well. Ironically, the draws may be favorable for us in the mock draw or in the rehearsal in Moscow earlier yesterday. We drew Poland, Sweden, and Colombia. Considering how the manipulations can go, that would have been a very good draw for us if it happens tomorrow.
Mr. Speaker, I like to take the cautious optimism that Annie has espoused just a few moments ago. I do not doubt the capacity of our players, not for a moment, and I do not doubt the technical savvy of Gennaro Rohr, but cautious optimism should be the word. Otherwise, if we allow overt optimism to get into the heads of the boys, we may pay the price. As Dr. Amao has stated, winning the first match is going to be very, very vital. Otherwise, you are going to have a house in disarray. So the fact that we are sure of the ability of our young men, they're a growing team. I think they're the second youngest team. I think I've seen statistics to that effect. They are averaging an age of about 27.6 across the board. That bodes well for us, and I think they are going to develop. The 6 months or so that we have to the World Cup will give a lot of them the opportunity in their various clubs to really come through, and the technical people to really think of how best to deploy them. But I think we need to be cautious in the optimism that we are giving forward. Let us just remember that on this platform, Dudu Orimen, who is taking a rest today, and a few of us, including yours truly, we are overtly optimistic that we're going to beat South Africa in Uyo.
I was the only one. I'm very cautious on that day. I remember. I was very cautious. I said we should be very cautious that we shouldn't be overly expectant. So I think that's the same line that we should toe going into the World Cup. We should be positive, but cautiously.
By the way, Mr. Speaker, do not think that because Annie is sitting next to me, it's affecting me. I think I'm just being reasonable. Reasonable.
No one, in fact, you shouldn't be infected with Annie's disease. Well, we'll go on our first break. When we come back, we'll attempt to connect with Moscow once again. If you are just joining us, this is the Sports Parliament. We are peeping into our crystal ball at what may happen tomorrow night when the draws for the 2018 World Cup are done. So, as I said, there are 4 pots. In pot 1, the topmost teams in the world, 8 of them. In pot 2, the ones that follow that one. In pot 3, then the ones that follow that. And in pot 4, the least powerful teams in the world, according to FIFA rankings, the least powerful teams in the world. The only difference is that Russia qualifies automatically. Okay? So, Nigeria is in pot 4. And the strongest teams are in pot 1. There's no way, the way it is done, it's just fantastic. You know, you can't avoid the top teams, you can't avoid the middle teams, and everybody will play each other, you know, in a nice sort of way. I like the arrangement that FIFA has done with this thing. So, now, how do we go about it? Very quickly, we just want to look very quickly at what is likely to happen. Who will take the first shot?
Well, it's difficult to say exactly what teams will be there, but from what I have looked at, for me, I don't think there are going to be any groups that will be easy, because the teams seem to be well distributed this time. If you look at the teams in pot 1 and pot 2, there's really no difference in terms of the strength of those teams. Pot 3, you can say there's a little bit of on-ranking, that there's a little bit of leeway to play with, you know, but you will be surprised if you get 2 top teams, one from pot 1, one from pot 2, joining us in pot 4, and then one of the other teams, again, where you're talking about pot 3, you're looking at Denmark, you're looking at Sweden, and you're looking at Egypt. Though I'm sure the African teams will avoid each other in the first groupings, you know, based on the FIFA arrangements that are usually in place, that 2 African teams cannot be in one group. So for me, I've just looked at it generally, and I just say, let them bring up any team, as long as let us just prepare and meet the teams. Well, I pray that we have a little bit of luck in terms of the groupings, but I think we should be ready to face any team.
So what are we expecting? Let's go to Moscow, where Chris Obukwelu, my friend, Ben Television London, is waiting to tell us what is happening in Moscow now as they prepare for the draws. Chris, how now?
Hello, Shag. I think I've been listening to you guys. I think there are so many permutations to go through. It is clear the die is cast. Tomorrow is, we will be saying today, but I think you guys still have some hours to lift up to tomorrow.
Okay, you are already
there are so many
Friday.
things one could look at for tomorrow's draw, if you ask me.
But what's the atmosphere like in the city of Moscow now? Just give us a feel.
The truth about it is that as I speak to you, everybody's sleeping. We are past midnight. This is very early in the morning in Moscow. But on or before now, there have been so many arrangements for today's affair. I have to tell you that it will be a very lavish one. I also have to warn some of our African brothers who are coming from the sunny side of things that they have to really get very warm, because the cold here is not pleasant.
And okay, also tell us, you know, this is one part of the world that we don't really go to, Russia, for anything, even though it's in Europe. What do you think? What should people expect? The hundreds of thousands of people coming from Africa, from the thousands probably coming from Nigeria, going into Russia. What should they expect? Russia is not a common destination for us here.
As I keep saying, Russians will tell you that racism has since gone. But then again, I tell my African brothers, you have to watch it. When Russia is hosting the World Cup, it's not Moscow that is hosting the World Cup. Russia, there will be some villages that will contain the World Cup. And what that simply means is that some of them are still naive about the friendship that is being extended by some of these footballer fans. What I'm trying to buttress in this is that we have to be really, really careful, because in Moscow there is so much smiles, there's so much cuddles, and they perhaps could deceive us with we are one. we have to understand that by the time that Russia perhaps are no longer in the World Cup, what happens? Because they have a very good detailed account of, hooliganism. And in my field, I've been here, plenty of times, and I know too well that they haven't eradicated it. And to buttress what I'm trying to test to you, and to make it clear to those who are listening right now, we are not too sure where, for example, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be. So if the Super Eagles of Nigeria have been thrown into a village, what do one expect from their community? I know too well that the Russians have put a lot of money in terms of adverts, and they are beginning to use other ethnicities, other colors to tell people that they have to welcome the others. But then again, there's still fear in the land that one has to be cautious.
Okay, last word from you, Chris, before we come back to the studio here. Just tell us your own personal vision for what could possibly happen with the Super Eagles as the draws happen tomorrow.
The truth about it is that I'm glad with the type of players we have. We have a striking force that, why not, could win the World Cup. But then again, a midfield that is jittery. A defense that perhaps we need one or two players to make it formidable. That is the truth about what we're looking at. The Super Eagles can stretch. They are the youngest side, if you, with all calculations. But then again, we have to look at the bench. Can Roy destroy when it matters most? Can Spain, we here in the world, Spain, can it scare us? Thank goodness the Italians are not here. So the Germans, remember when we talk about the Germans, we talk about a team that has first, second, third, fourth generation that can destroy. Can the Flying Eagles, make nonsense of the aspirations of the Germans? So these are some of the things the coaches or the technical crew have to really come about. I hope their minds are not filtered with the elections, which will take them forward. Rather, let's look at something that no Africans have done before. And what that simply means is that we have to give these players everything they deserve. From tomorrow, immediately we know who we're facing, we need to go and get the hotels ready. And when I mean hotel, I mean first-class hotel for the players. They have to be given the best. Some of them live here in London. Every morning, every afternoon, every night, some of us who live in the UK say hello to them. They don't need much. All they plan for is just show them that love, and they'll go there to commit.
Fantastic.
The NFF have done well, but then again, there are plenty to be done if this trophy has to be revived Africa, or if we show the best from this. We haven't done well in terms of Africa. We have always gone the second round, we are back. We need to move forward. We need to show that we have that zeal. We can. Why not?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very, very much. We wish you a wonderful stay in Moscow. Enjoy the cold. Enjoy the cold.
If you say so.
Well, welcome back to Lagos, where we are just going very quickly through the different ports. I don't think we can really make any predictions here, and you sort of summed it up. I would prefer that we now just jump straight to the reviews of... You have something to say? Yes.
Yes, I've looked at the ports, and Nigeria is in the fourth port, but in the first port we have two teams that I wouldn't mind are playing against: Poland or Russia. In port two, there are two teams too: Peru or Croatia, and port three, Iran or Costa Rica. So if any of these groups come into our group,
you are picking the weakest teams in each port, and wishing and
willing that they would, that way we should make it into the next
Doctor,
round.
you must pass a comment on Nigeria and Argentina.
That's what in fact, that's something that I would like to say something
about.
Yes,
go ahead.
Because for me, though Kweku says something, well, we can meet any team. Yeah, we can meet. We have to meet the teams. There's nothing we can do about that. The die is cast. But if you look back, history like repeating itself. We've had this in '94. We play Argentina in the first match. I mean, we played Argentina not in the first match. In 2002, we played Argentina in the first match. In 2010, we played Argentina the first match. 2014, I think we played Argentina second match. So maybe that is the wisdom.
That's our boogie team.
Boogie team. Maybe that's the wisdom for Royal to make sure that you organize a friendly match. And I think the Argentina team to prefer that they play us so that you can size us up.
Okay.
So these are things. But for me, apart from Argentina, there's no other team in that pot one that Nigeria has met in the whole series of the World Cup that we've gone through. Yeah.
Wow.
They have not.
Wow.
Except France. Yes, France the last in 2014. Okay. Germany is tough. Brazil, very hot. Portugal, they can be this way because Ghana gave them a lot of tough time the last one. So Belgium is tough a bit now. They have very strong team.
Yeah.
So, but like Kweku said, we can meet any team, and I think we have to meet any team that
Let us go to Ene and Abdurrahman. Just quick peep into your crystal balls. Very quick peep into your crystal balls. Abdurrahman.
Well, very quickly, if the rehearsal was anything to go by, I think Mr. Agu's prayers have been answered because the rehearsals, we got Poland in the from pot one. But quite frankly, I will throw the line of Dr. Kweku and say that any team should come. As a matter of fact, I'll prefer to have the biggest teams, Brazil, Spain or England. The bigger they come, the harder they fall, and that's where glory will come. To win the World Cup, you must win, be the best. And if we can knock them out earlier on, it will be easier for us in the later stages.
I think I told the line of any here, and of course, Dr. Amao, any team can come because there's no hiding place. Once you've gotten into the finals, there's really no hiding place. So let them come. The bigger they come, the better it is. One thing is for sure. We've got the team that has the capacity and the talent. The problem is whether that talent can be turned into a capacity that will be able to deliver tactically and technically. That is the task before the players, the NFF, and their handlers.
Okay, now let's go back to 1994, our first visit to a World Cup. And I think we have the teams lined up. After the draws in 1994, we ended up with the following countries in our group. How did we perform? Was that the best team that Nigeria has ever produced? Can you compare that team to the present team now? We have it there on our screens: Nigeria, Bulgaria, Argentina, and Greece. Kweku, you start again. Help us review 1994 very quickly.
1994 was a good performance for us, and I think one of the things that helped us was our first match. I think we played Bulgaria in that first match, and the excitement of appearing in the World Cup for the first time, the quality of the team that we had at that time, and I think the support of the federal government then ensured that there was a buzz that the players carried into that first match. You could see that from when Yekini scored that first goal, and up till today, FIFA still uses it as one of the goals of the tournament. And I think that the momentum of that first match carried us through into almost getting into the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, we lost to Italy. So for me, 1994 was a good performance, and possibly the best performance that we've had in the World Cup so far.
Well, Agu, just go on as we are watching, clips from matches of 1994. Your thoughts?
1994 was a brilliant team, but it was a build-up. Yes, we had qualified, done well to qualify, and we had done well in the African Nations Cup. But there were some positions that were strengthened just as we got into the World Cup proper. So I do think that our team this time is as good a year or 8 months to the event. And so in 8 months' time, I think we'll have a team this time as strong as the 1994 team, which will be able to do as well and do better. Last time, we just it was lack of concentration and certain certain administrative hitches that prevented us from going beyond the second round. So this time, I think that if these things are put right with the kind of preparations NFF are making, limited amount of quarrels and friction, I think that we are on the way to doing better than 1994.
Doctor?
Yes, everybody has said something that I think is positive. But because I was part of it, so I can say a little bit more concerning the preparation. You know, we had good preparation because we prepared initially for the African Cup of Nations, which we won. So that propelled the team into the World Cup and gave them a kind of what they call that confidence that they can meet any team. But we shouldn't look at the players alone. I want to give something to Westerhoff because he's a manager who managed that team properly. And like you said, the first match determines what you go through. When we beat Bulgaria, within ourselves, in the team, we didn't have so much in terms of saying we can beat Bulgaria. But Westerhoff said you can beat them. He said, what's Starkov? Who is this? It's ordinary. And the thing played out. And 3-0, it's unbelievable. So that was the issue. And for me, I think so far that team will be, in my own judgment, the best team so far that we have. Crop of players, experienced players, mature players that we had at that point. Now with our team, present team, yes, the youngest team, yes, there's something positive about being young, but then some other snags are there that we have to look at. Experience has to come in. No matter how young and skillful you are, experience has to come in when you meet.
All right, Doc, we will go to 1998. But before we do that and we go to Abuja, I just want to put it on the record so that people will know that 1994 team, I was the team manager of that team. The team manager, you know, so it is with pride that I'm saying it. I was the team manager of that team to Tunisia and then to the World Cup. So nobody should take that glory away from me. So we'll go over to Abuja. Abdurrahman and Ene, you're going to see now the groups, the teams in our group for 1998. And then between the two of you, starting with Abdurrahman, just help us do like a review. Now, go on, 1998, what are your thoughts?
Well, 1998, Annie, I happened to, while the speaker was team manager in 1998, I wasn't in 1994. I wasn't team manager in 1998, but I was part of the NTA crew that was there to physically cover the competition. And I must say that team also turned out to be very strong. We didn't have a Westerhoff. He had left by that time. But the NFA then managed to get the team there. Again, it was a matter of man management that caused the downfall of that team. Because the team did very well. They played against a team that with a very, very high pedigree, Spain, winning by 3-2. Even though after the goal scored by, I think, Sunday Olise, Mutu Adepoju, and then Garba Lawal forced Andoni Zubizarreta, the Spanish goalkeeper, to concede an own goal from a fierce drive down the left. The team, because monetary issues came in, because this is a factor that eventually came to play. When they faced Paraguay, I was personally at the stadium that game. The signs were there that the team was in disarray, plus the fact that the team, I think, made the mistake of not having a standing goalkeeper. At that point in time, the #1 goalkeeper, I think it was Ike Shorumu, had gotten injured. So there was a big debate to bring back Peter Rufai. And unfortunately, people were remembering Peter Rufai with his exploits of the past. So at the point that it mattered most against Paraguay, Peter Rufai did not deliver, and I think we lost that match 3-1.
Actually, 4-1, I think, against Denmark, not Paraguay.
We lost 4-1 against Denmark.
In the second round, if my memory serves me right. And one of the issues that we had at that point in time is that I think, Mr. Speaker, I think Dr. Mao spoke about management and having a good manager. And I think in 1998 was a little bit about lack of management, because by the time we got into the second round, the players were showboating, especially JJ. He wasn't being controlled. I think nobody could control him. He was more or less playing for his contracts, which he got in PSG after that. And a lot of players lost their discipline. And the team was still very good. It was an offshoot from the 1994 team, though the manager had gone. Most of the core of the players were still there. And the team could have reached the quarterfinals. And so I feel that what happened in 1994, we started on our peak and we started going down and down and down. We reached rock bottom, and I'm sure Mr. Speaker will get to that. We are starting to rise again. And we haven't seen the peak yet. And the team that is going now to Russia, we hope, it's a very young team. We hope that they will put their acts together. They will plug some of the holes. It's not too late. Chris spoke about some players, some areas they were lacking, some players in the midfield and in the defense. But we also should remember, even in 1994 team that we had our best team, which I agree with Dr. Mao saying was one of our best teams. It was at the World Cup, or just before the World Cup, that we got some players to plug in some holes. Players like Mike Emenalo and Chidi Nwanu. They didn't play the qualifiers at all. So those who brought the experience to solidify our defense. So now we might have one or two players. I'm hearing that the coach has gotten a goalkeeper that he will try in our friendlies from Germany. And we'll bring in one or two players that will actually cover the lapses that we have in our team. So I'm a little bit hopeful that 1998 we will have a skillful team, but a more disciplined team than we did now.
Very good. Well, if you are just joining us again, this is the Sports Parliament coming to you live from our studios in Lagos and Abuja. We are going on a short break. When we come back, Lukman is waiting patiently. And those of you who bet, who want to go and put your money behind teams, just wait for him after the break. Welcome back. Welcome back. Well, Lukman and his predictions. So, which country will win this World Cup? That is where I'm interested in. Lukman, well, go ahead, Lukman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I would like to start from European Football Fed, and I'll end it with the World Cup predictions.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Before the injection of Russian and Arab money in the Premier League, Arsenal and Manchester United were the two teams who used to battle for English supremacy. This weekend, that rivalry resumes back at the Emirates Stadium. Elsewhere in Europe, there's another top-of-the-table clash between Napoli and Juventus in Italy. Welcome to European football in 300 seconds. My name is Lukman Ogunolu. Our focus matches this week are Bayern Munich Hannover 96, Hoffenheim RB Leipzig, Napoli Juventus, Barcelona Celta Vigo, Athletic Bilbao Real Madrid, Watford Tottenham Hotspur, Man City West Ham, and Arsenal Manchester United. We'll begin in Germany. Bayern Munich looked to return back to winning ways after their shock display at Gladbach last week.
and I expect that they will destroy Hanover at home. I'm predicting a 4-1 victory to them. Hoffenheim, RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig are scoring goals for fun at the moment, and I think that they definitely will do that when they face Hoffenheim away from home. I back them to win 2-1 away from home this weekend. To Italy, the top of the table clashes between Napoli and Juventus. Surely we should expect fireworks at San Paolo Stadium, because the difference between these two sides on the table is just 2 points. The intrigue of this game is the tactical battle between Mauricio Sarri and Massimiliano Allegri. I think these two sides will cancel each other out, so I'm going for a 1-1 draw here. Moving over to Spain, Barcelona and take on Celta Vigo. Juan Carlos Unzoe, who used to be Luis Enrique's former assistant manager, should expect no favors when he returns to the Camp Nou this weekend with his Celta Vigo side. I think Messi and co will return back to winning ways this weekend in the La Liga, and they definitely will win 4-0 at home. To the Cathedral at San Mamés in the north of Spain, Athletic Bilbao hosts Real Madrid. Athletic Bilbao are out of sorts at the moment and are struggling. They've been winless in 5 games, even though Real Madrid are not at their best too. But I think they should be good enough to pick 3 points at San Mamés. 2-1 to Real Madrid. To the Premier League, Watford entertained Tottenham Hotspur. Well, both sides lost midweek, but it's been 30 years since Watford defeated Tottenham at the top flight of English football. I don't think that will change this weekend, and I think that Spurs should be able to make it 2-1 away from home. To Man City and West Ham. Man City are on the verge of joining Arsenal and Chelsea in securing the longest winning run in the Premier League, which is 13 victories. I don't think West Ham will stop them this weekend. So I'm predicting Man City to win comfortably at home, 3-0. And to the biggest game of the weekend between Arsenal and Manchester United. The Gunners are in the mood at the moment. They are playing well and they are winning at home. On the other hand, too, Manchester United are on a 3 games winning run. This is definitely a very close game. And I'm going for a draw here, 1-1. Well, finally, to the World Cup draws. Well, I did some calculations on my own, and in the last 5 editions that Nigeria has been at the World Cup, we have been seeded with European teams and a South American team in 3 of the 5 times. But the last 2 editions, we've been seeded against an European team, a South American team, and an Asian team. So based on this, I came up with 2 scenarios, best case scenario and worst case scenario. So my best case scenario is that I hope that we get seeded with Russia, Peru, Costa Rica, and Nigeria. Our worst case scenario, I'm hoping that we don't get Belgium, Colombia, Iceland in our group. This is where I'll anchor it, sir. And to be able to predict the winner of the World Cup, I think it's too early for me to say.
No. You have to.
You will need an octopus for that.
Who will win the World Cup?
Well, sticking my neck out right now, I'll go for Brazil.
So, welcome back. It's very easy. I tell you, it's very easy to predict who will win the World Cup. You know why? Because if you go through the history, just a few countries.
Only 7 countries have won.
Only 7 countries have ever won the World Cup. So you can just close your eyes and dip your hand into the pot of those 7 countries and just pull one out, which is what every parliamentarian is going to do tonight before we go. Because I'm going to write everything down, not now. Okay. Write everything down, all your predictions who will win the World Cup at the end of today's program. So we are looking at 2002. That is one tournament that I think I've totally erased it from my memory. So I leave it to parliamentarians to tell us about it.
Well, 2002, I don't think we should spend much time on it, because even going into the tournament itself, we went in with troubles and problems. First, in terms of the coach, and in terms of even the players. Some players were revolting. You saw the captain was said to be revolting against some other players. The coach was changed after the Mali, I think it was Mali African Nations Cup, just a few weeks, and so on and so forth. So it was a very disastrous outing, and I think for most of us that were able to attend, we just went to know what South Korea looked like, and we came back after the first round.
I don't think we should even look at the graphics of that, but if it is available, we scored only 1 goal. We scored only 1 goal, and that's the goal Yeah, that's the goal you have just seen there. Well, that's the one scored against us.
Against us.
But we scored only one goal. Julius Agao, I think, scored that goal.
We played a draw with England.
With England. In fact, I've erased it from my memory. I've erased it. So we'll go straight after that to 2010 because 2006 was another major disaster. Nigeria did not even qualify. So 2010. Agu.
Another classic example of how not to go to the World Cup. How not to prepare
South
for the
Africa.
World Cup. Yes. The preparations were not in order. That was the time when we even had the presidential advice
task force.
Those are the
task
teams
force
there on the screen. Argentina, Korea Republic, Greece again, and then Nigeria. Yes, go on.
One of the things that we remember was Ayegbeni's miss in that World Cup. The one from about 2 meters. Against Korea. Like I said, 2002, 2010, how not to prepare for the World Cup. And there's really nothing much to do.
No, Doctor.
Well, I don't think I have much to add because he has said it. Ayegbeni missed a goal. Then we had a red card again. You remember that? Yes, one I've forgotten this player. Yeah.
Sani Keita.
Yeah. So unnecessary kind of. But then, when you look at it, the problem started from the preparation. The coach we hire came in much later. He was not part of the qualification matches, and those are issues that I think create a problem.
Lagerbach. That is, we should just erase those those things. So I won't bother the Abuja crew to tell us anything about 2010, except if you have something to say about 2010. Right. Don't bother to tell us anything. Right. So let's go to 2014 in Brazil. I think we did well in Brazil. Let's go to 2012. Abdurrahman. 2014.
Well, just a point I'd like to bring us back to Japan, Korea. One thing that I think we shouldn't lose sight of, even though we did badly as on the whole, but that was when a certain young man, Vincent Ema, emerged on the scene, and he went on to put in a long, very lengthy service to Nigeria. I think we should acknowledge that. That was when he came up. And he came up in the match against England. I remember that clearly. But haven't...
Yes, sorry, before you go, I just want to, so that we can put 2002 to bed, Mr. Speaker, permit me to also say that 2002, we shouldn't erase it. It's something that we failed to build on. 2002 offered us an opportunity. A team that drew with England, in as much as it was not an insignificant match for England at that point in time, but had a lot of, apart from Enyama, had Joseph Yobo, who went on to have over 100 caps for the Super Eagles and captain us to a lot of glories. We had a young team, a coach that came and decided that he wants to start afresh. Actually had a clean sweep of all the fighters in Mali and decided to start afresh. So I felt that we lost an opportunity after that to build on 2002, and the result was that we lost out in 2006. We didn't qualify. But in 2014, like you said, it was also, we did quite well. The sad thing about 2014 is that you couldn't really see a transition from the team that won the Nations Cup to the team that went to the World Cup. And that's where we should be asking questions that what happened? Could we have done better if we had actually used about the same core of players to execute the World Cup? And that transition is what is always lacking in our development in sports. We kind of use people for the moments. In the Nations Cup, we had a Sunday Umba that won us the Nations Cup, and we didn't see him by the time the World Cup came around.
Well, that's the exact point I wanted to make. The transition simply was lost. Either in terms of man management or in terms of administration, the core of the team that played in South Africa in 2013 wasn't the one that went to Brazil. Therefore, there was no continuity, and that really affected how much the country could have achieved. If we look back, comparing that to 1994, it was from the 1994 Nations Cup team, like Dr. Amao has stated, and like the good speaker himself has stated, you were both involved. That was how team building, team spirit, continuity saved us. But in 2014, it was not so in Brazil, so we were hampered.
Well, as you can see, the whole of Nigeria, I'm putting on my Super Eagles t-shirt in anticipation of a great performance in Russia. So we just take one last word from everybody. We have 2 minutes to go. One last word from everybody, and it's a prediction that I'm going to write down now. Starting from Abuja, predictions. What team would win the World Cup? Because I'm going to put my money behind all those predictions. Abdurrahman.
Well, I was hoping you were not going to start with me. You might say I'm not serious, but Nigeria.
Nigeria, Abdurrahman. Okay. Nigeria, Abdurrahman. Okay. Nigeria, Abdurrahman. Okay.
Speaker, I will follow Abdurrahman on one aspect, is that the team I will call will not be from the pot of 7 that you have mentioned earlier on. But I'll be more realistic and more reasonable than he is, and not necessarily less patriotic. But I will say I'll go for Belgium.
Belgium, it is. Well, thank you both from Abuja. Then we now come back to the studios here. Kweku.
The World Cup is taking place in Europe.
Fantastic.
I'll take Germany.
Kweku and Germany. Okay. Dr. Amao.
Yes, before I make my prediction, there's one thing that I want to pray for: injury, to pray against injury.
Okay.
Most of our players are young players. They're playing for their various clubs. It's not to say that you don't do well for your club, but you must be able to watch out. Injury is one thing that you should avoid.
The doctor is speaking now.
Now, for me, I'm looking towards not necessarily Europe.
Okay.
I see Brazil.
Brazil. Well, Agu will give us his own verdict and move a motion, because we are out of time.
In 1985, out of nowhere, the under-17 Nigerian team won the under-17 World Cup. In 1996, against the run of play, at the Olympics, Nigeria won the Olympics.
Good.
I will go along with Abdurrahman
Nigeria.
and predict that Nigeria will win the World Cup.
Wow, wow.
With this, Mr. Speaker, I move a motion for the adjournment of this sitting.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. Good night, everybody.